What's up, control freaks? Welcome back to the channel. Les Alex here. Today, we're checking out Reawakened Dimir Control. I know I've been talking about this deck just a ton, but I wanted to go back to the well again, and this is not a gameplay video yet, just another, I don't know, thought crafting, theory crafting video, just telling you kind of what the deck does and why I've enjoyed it in paper. My most recent F&M style tournament at my locals, I went 0-3 with Azorius Control and just hated every second of it and was like, wow, I really wish I was playing Reawakened Dimir Control. But let's take a look at this deck list and kind of break down some of the things I like about it, some of the things that are different from the arena version to paper, and then why I think it is just an excellent place to be, and I've had a ton of success with it in my local meta. So, let's talk about it. We've got some Cling to Dust ×1. This is a new edition, and this is an edition that is currently only in my arena version because we do not have access, unfortunately, to Days Undoing. Days Undoing is the card that kind of combos with Narset Part Reveals. Now, in paper, recently, I have been cutting my Days Undoing back because it is essentially a dead card if you don't have Narset on the battlefield. So, with that being said, I am going to add a Cling to Dust to my paper deck. I'm going to trim one of those Days Undoings down to just one Days Undoing. And yeah, so Cling to Dust, a great way to gain card advantage against the mid-range and combo and non-aggro decks, and then you can gain life against the aggro decks. Very versatile card, and a card that, because it has escape, you can play over and over and over again and gets better the later you are in the game. Moving on, we've got 4 Fatal Push, just the premium removal spell in the format. The reason, these next 2 cards are really the reason, in my opinion, you should be playing Dimir Control. It might not be in a Reawakened version, like with Jace Reawakened, but Dimir Control over Azorius Control. And I know Azorius Control is kind of control with training wheels because you've got all of the haymakers like Teferi, and you've got Supreme Verdict. And I get it, those cards are really good, but so are these black 1-drops. You've got Fatal Push. This card kills almost every single thing relevant in the format. It is absolutely awesome. And then, of course, Thoughtseize, probably pound for pound the best card in the entire format. I'm talking about Pioneer and Explorer here. Just the absolute, probably, like I said, best card in my opinion. It fixes so many problems. It allows you to navigate the game, and in a control deck, it's so much better than in like a mid-range or any other style deck, in my opinion, because you have such great cards like Negate and Censor, and you can just really prepare your deck and your game plan, not your deck, but your game plan for Thoughtseize, because of Thoughtseize. Moving on, we got 1 Censor. This is just a fun of, it'll catch people off guard occasionally, and it's never a dead card. You can just cycle it for 1 blue. Does everything you need. Deduce, I've really loved this card in this deck. The excellent thing about this deck, aside from just combo killing people with Valky, or Tibalt rather, is just it churns through your deck. There are some games where you're going to win with only 2 or 3 cards left in your library, just because of how many cards this deck rips through, and I absolutely love drawing cards. Huge fan of Deduce. Next up, we got 3 Negates, just a big problem solver, your main counter spell in this deck. Just an excellent piece of tech against most decks that we kind of struggle against. So Negate is awesome. And then to the mainstay card, for the namesake of the deck, Jace Reawakened. Now, I currently am playing 2 on the ladder. In my paper deck, I play 3 copies of this and 3 copies of Valky. But I've been having fun with this. I've been doing really well with this version of the deck. I think I'm 5-0 on Arena, and then I've been crushing locals. Like, literally, like, 3 losses to maybe 10 or so wins. So, obviously, win percentage-wise, it's insane. So, depending on how hard you want to go on the combo, the thing about Valky, let's talk about Valky for a second. Valky and Tibalt. This is the reason. So if you haven't realized this far into the video, Jace Reawakened can plot Valky, the creature, and then off of it, the following turn, you can cast Tibalt Cosmic Imposter, which is a game ender on turn 4. Because if you get, or on turn 5 rather, because if you get to do this, the game almost ends on the spot. Almost everybody I've casted this against on Arena, they have scooped. Now, Arena's a little bit different, obviously, because time equity is a thing, and you can just get straight into another game. But I really do think that, I don't think I've ever lost a game where I've resolved a Tibalt off of Jace. So, the card's excellent. It deals with a lot of problematic cards. Obviously, if they have a Planeswalker going or something, that might be a little problematic. But hopefully, by exiling the top cards, you will be able to find an out. But then we have one go for the throw. This is kind of a catch-all. Now, a card that we kind of get hit by really hard is Reckoner Bankbuster, and ironically enough, this doesn't deal with that. But this is just a catch-all for anything that slips through the cracks. It's an instant speed piece of removal, which all of our removal spells, other than our mass removal spells. But yeah, excellent piece, just as a fun of, and you could probably swap this out, but in my opinion, I've really liked Go for the Throat as a one of in this deck, and again, I've been playing this deck since Thunder Junction came out, so for however long that's been. Moving on, we've got 2 Sheoldred's Edict. I believe in my paper version, I'm actually playing 3 of these. So obviously you're kind of wondering where these numbers are coming from. If I'm playing 3 Valky and 3 Jace, like what the heck? How am I fitting all these cards in? Well, I've trimmed on Memory Delusions, and there's no Gear Hulk in my paper version. But because we don't have access to Days Undoing, and currently I'm only playing the 2 and the 1 on Jace and Valky, I wanted to have another win condition because this deck is extremely light on win conditions. So that is something you need to be cognizant of. Do not just go for it if you don't know that the coast is clear, or if you're not holding a counter spell, because if you kind of cast a Gear Hulk in a situation where maybe they have a removal spell, or maybe you fire up a Hive of the Eye Tyrant or your Hall of Storm Giants, you could just die, because there's not many ways that you win the game in this deck. It's very good at killing your opponent and stopping your opponent from winning the game, but unfortunately we don't have any I win buttons like ultimating Teferi, other than basically ultimating Tibalt. But moving on to 3-drops, we've got Narset, Part of the Veils. We've got this as a 2 of. Obviously, against Lotus combo, which you're not going to run into on Arena, but against Lotus combo and Phoenix, this card is pretty much one of the best cards you could possibly play. Against Phoenix, a lot of the times you'll just play it, and as long as you're not severely behind, just play it and pass the turn, because she cutting off all their cantrips on their turn is just so good. And then moving on to Memory Deluge. This is one that is kind of, you could go down or you could go up. In my paper version, I only play 2. So, you could go up or down. But and then Deadly Cover-Up as a 3 of. This card, very strong. 5 mana, and of course it has the Surgical Extraction text if you collect evidence. But being a 5-drop, obviously, it's a little bit weaker than something like a Supreme Verdict. But we have such good spot removal in this deck. Oftentimes, the board will be clear enough on turn 4. Unless you just keep a terrible hand against an aggro deck and they just smush you, Usually, Deadly Cover-Up is good enough, and it's actually pretty sick against decks that care about the graveyard or kind of one-shot pony decks like Black-Red Vampires or something like that. So because you get to, say Vein Ripper, you destroy all their Vein Rippers, and then you pick the Vein Ripper out, and then they kind of just have a bunch of idiots trying to kill you, and it's really hard for them to win. Moving on to the bigger and more expensive cards here, we got 3 Shark Typhoons. Again, this could be between 1 and 3, I think is a nice number. Just a nice way to get yourself from the mid to late game, and then if you ever resolve this card, assuming you can do anything and aren't dead immediately on board, you're going to win the game. But just a nice piece of tech, really good against all the decks with flyers. So Azorius Spirits, Bant Spirits, Is It Phoenix, and then pretty decent also against Azorius Control. Moving on, Torrential Gearhulk is here. Again, in paper, I'm not playing it currently. But I've been really liking it on Arena, and I think I might try one. Maybe I'll cut a Narset, or yeah, I'll have to workshop that in paper, but definitely considering it, when in paper I really wasn't at all. So Gearhulk, very strong. Obviously, if you get to live the dream and get dig through time, you're just loving life. But and then that brings us to the last spell, which is Dig Through Time. As a one of, just very good. We fill our deck up so much quicker than Azorius Control. That's why Azorius Control doesn't play. If you're newer to control decks and you're like, wow, Dig Through Time is really good. I see these Dimir decks playing it. Why doesn't Azorius? Well, we have a ton of 1-drops in our deck as a Dimir deck, so that's why, because we can Thoughtseize them, can push their dude, we'll negate, we'll deduce, blah blah blah, and by turn 4 or 5, this bad boy is costing not a whole lot of mana. So yeah, Dig Through Time, just excellent, and if you get to live the dream with Gearhulk, that's what you do, you just win the game. Moving on to the mana base, my mana base in Arena is fine. I am playing 1-Drown Catacombs. I would not play that in paper. I would play just a Shipwreck March, because a lot of the times this card is just Underground Sea in this deck. You got 1 Castle Vantress, 2 Halls. I recently just went up to 2 Halls because you do have to finally kill your opponent. Unfortunately, I know we do have to kill our opponents. We can't just, bore them to death or whatever. Well, sometimes you can. But and then we have 2 islands. We have 1 Otawara, 1 Hive of the Eye Tyrant. This card's very good against certain graveyard-based strategies. We've got 2 Swamps. And you want to play 4 of this card. Just play 4 of this. Then we've got Shipwreck Mars. Under City Sewers, this should probably be a 1 or a 2 of. And then just switch them out with Clearwater Pathways. Obviously, you want to play 4 Watery Graves. And then 2 Xander Lounge. Currently, I'm playing 3 Xander Lounge in paper. And then we got 3 Field of Ruin. No Gaia Reach Sanitarium. So Gaia Reach Sanitarium, excellent in the best case scenario where you make them discard their card and then you lock them out of the game. That is definitely, it happens. It happens more often than you would really think it would. But I've had so many times where I just die to a Den of the Bugbear or another creature land and just staring at my Gaia Reach Sanitarium, and I just wish it was Field of Ruin. So for that reason, I can't do it. I'm sorry. Field of Ruin is excellent. Now, the good part about this deck, as opposed to Azorius Control, you have a lot of good spot removals. So Fatal Push, Go for the Throat, Shieldred's Edict still good, because in some scenarios they'll attack and not have anybody late and not have any other creatures late game. So Shieldred's Edict usually just good enough late game, but still keep that Field of Ruin on me. The sideboard, I'm not really going to talk about it exactly all over the whole thing, because I've talked about this deck ad nauseum at this point, and it changes. You need to prepare for your meta, right? So look at maybe some of my other videos, or just other creators' videos, other tournament reports, other decks online, and get, there are a lot of good blue and black sideboard cards. So, but currently I am playing, in my actual list, I'm playing the 4 Shieldred's Edict, I'm playing 2 Chrome Hosts, 2 Mystical Disputes, a Go Blank Kalidas Shieldred, and then a Meat Hook Massacre. I would also suggest, if you're playing in a meta where there are a lot of aggro decks, Path of Peril. That card is instrumental in my meta. I always play it. I won't play this deck. And actually, that's why I played Azorius Control this past Monday. I didn't have my 2 copies of Path of Peril. So I decided to play Azorius Control, and it didn't work out. But I'm still a fan of Reawakened Dimir Control. And yeah, let me know, though, if you enjoy this content and you like this deck. If you're playing this deck, let me know. I would love to see your build. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. Also, I just got the member on, the members. Every YouTuber has it, it feels like. So I decided to hop on the bandwagon. And so if you want to support the content, I think for as low as $3, you can do it right here on YouTube. So you don't have to go to Patreon or anything. Right here on YouTube. And that gives you access to some emotes. It gives you access to all of my canned videos. Canned meaning pre-recorded. Like this video. If you remember, you already got to see this video before it came out. It's pretty cool. But yeah, support the content. It would mean the world to me. I appreciate you all. Keep spreading that Dimir propaganda. And I'll catch you all on the flippy flop. Adios.